Live. This is episode 24. I'm Skillbo, as always with Sequence. The whole panel's here. What's happening, chat?
What's happening, Skillbo? We're like all out of order compared to usual because Skillbo was late to the meeting. So he's on all the way on the bottom.
Late.
Let's go around the horn and do intros. We'll want to thank chat. We had like 20 people here before we even turn this thing on. Please give us a like if you could. It helps with the metrics. We'll want to thank chat. We had like 20. Turn that off.
Sorry about that. That was me.
Could have been me too.
Eagle, you're first. Where can everyone find you, bro?
Instagram, YouTube mainly. Looking forward to hanging out with you guys this week. Looking forward to hanging out with Nutrient Shoutouts this week.
Shootouts. Nutrient shootouts.
Why do I always do that?
Someone has to.
It's Subcool's fault.
All right, Abolished, you're next. Where can everyone find you, bro?
Abolish Farms. If it's a platform, you can probably find me there. And I just wanted to shout out to Chad and welcome Nutrient Shootouts tonight. You just gotta remember, it's Shooters Tour. You know.
I gave him the honor of butchering his name in his podcast, so that was good.
Oh, that was classic. I should have got you guys with a nice edit there, but I was being nice.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, old man, you're up. He waved me off.
Oh, hey. Old man Hermit Hash. Mostly on just Instagram or maybe through Gmail, but that's about it. I don't know. I'm just twisting up a doobie. I took a very short nap earlier and it just got me all funky feeling. So I got to wake up with some of this skunk stuff from Abolished.
I've been hearing a lot about that.
I may get real quiet tonight. I don't know. We'll see. It's all in here.
That's what he said about it.
You're living life dangerous to start the show off with the skunk one.
You know me, dude. Always going at it.
All right, Nutrient Shootouts. What's up, brother?
Just watering plants and checking on clones.
Where can everyone find you real quick on your
nutrientshootouts.com is the best way to get to all my socials, and really the content is hosted right there. So you can get to my YouTube, you can get to my Instagram, and see all the content right at nutrientshootouts.com. And then it's Nutrient Shootouts on YouTube. I've got updates coming. I've got seeds popping. I got monocrops lined up, and I got 6-way nutrient shootout planned for this year. So,
have you considered buying the URL Nutrient Shoutouts just to monopolize that market?
I have oldschoolplay.com and I have nutrientshootouts.com, but yeah, I probably should.
I would consider it. It's a natural fail by everyone.
I know.
Red Setter, you're up. Where can everyone find you, bro?
How's everybody doing tonight? Red Setter Farm. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me here on YouTube. I hope to drop another video hopefully this week, or at least getting back into the new year. The holidays, December has been a crazy month as always, and I'm excited to get back in the swing of things for 2020. So cheers, everybody. Been trimming all day, so I'm really geeked to just get here and have an awesome sesh with all you guys. So rock and roll. Let's get into some topics. I'm ready to go.
Thanks, Red. Skillbo, you're next in line.
I am happy as always to be here, hanging out with all my dudes and Groskis and everybody else, man. I'm just saying, it's the end of the year. We went through this shit. Everybody made it through the other side, and we got 2020 to look forward to, man. It's a good week, man. And I just put that post up talking about all the content that this channel is dropping over the next 4 days. Get hip, man. Check out all these premieres we got coming up, guys. Lots of content.
Abolish has been busy. Thank you very much to Abolish for that. Thank you, Skillbo.
Thank you for the Citro Glue for all the motivation, man. Wow.
It's good stuff, man. I'm excited. Nutrient's going to grow that. It's a different cut, actually, than the one that you have, but it's really, really good. That's actually the plant that's right here behind my head. Spartan, you're next.
Hey, I'm Spartan Grown. Find me on Instagram or maybe on at Benton Gardens. I'm really fucking high already.
Sweet.
It's gonna be fun. And or you can find me right here on the Michigan Bros Grow Show or the show right before this, Growing with My Fellow Growers, both on YouTube. And hey, I wanted to say, Eagle, man, I'm loving the internet connection speed or whatever you got going on. You're looking good over there, man.
Thank you, sir. Always glad to be here.
You could be a cam girl now with that connection speed. All right, Kate, you're up.
Oh, you can find me on Instagram. I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute my shit. And then here on Sundays, on Instagram at the Can of Kate. Also, just rolled out this big fat blunt to smoke on tonight's show. So
Speaking of big fat blunts, check out Kate's video on our channel about how to roll those things. All right, everyone has done introductions. I had a thing that I wanted to talk about today. Let me pull it up really quick. Hey, did you want to talk about what you shared on your Instagram today about the vape ban from the caregiver cartridges really quick? Because I think that's pretty relevant too, but I have another current events thing to talk about.
did you say me?
Yeah, the vape ban for the caregiver cartridges.
Sorry, I had my torch going. I couldn't hear you. Yeah, so basically it looks like starting in March, I want to say, there's no caregiver products that aren't flower allowed in dispensaries. So it specifically lists vapes in that thing. And then it goes on to say like distillate, edibles, any of those things won't be caregiver products allowed anymore. I don't know if you want me to give my opinions on that or just explain what it was.
Well, I think we should all give our opinions on it because it's relevant new news. But I think that what you had said in your caption on it was pretty relevant to the situation. So I liked what you had to say. I don't know if you remember it.
Oh, basically just that this is kind of like the state needed a reason. There are stupid rules for a reason, right? And people happily gave them a reason, caregivers, by doing things that are like dirty. You know what I mean? Dirty distillate, passing bad shit around. This is kind of what the bad caregivers brought on the good caregivers by doing things in a way that gave the state a reason to say, now we need to exclude these people because they do bad things. But in reality, there are dirty things in the license for vision shops from state licensed things. You can even bribe your way out of getting caught cheating tests, you know what I mean? Or not bribe, pay a fine. Excuse me, it's different when it's sanctioned. So like, you know, it's one of those things. I think as soon as we started talking about legalization, lots of people saw the writing on the wall for removing the caregiver model. And I think that this is just part of the systemic model of removing caregivers from the market in Michigan.
I agree with those sentiments. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really agree with a lot of that. You know, it's a step probably in that direction. Unfortunately. So what I'm also thinking is that brain fart, man. Sorry. Pass.
No, yeah, but like Kate was
Good
saying,
smoke,
I think
good
that yeah, we all get there. I
gotta
think that
regroup.
that's a shitty spot when you're talking live and you're like, all right, what was I saying? But I think Kate makes a good point when she says that it's like a minority of people that tried to get some bad products to stores or cut their products with vitamin E and gave the state an excuse to pass this sort of thing because it is relevant because someone is going to do that. And it really screws over a lot of people that aren't trying to do that.
I know where I was going with it is that we got to make the distinction that there's like two types of caregivers. There's caregivers that are growing plants for medicine for patients and possibly even for the provisioning center market. And then there's caregivers that are middlemen, essentially. They're getting their caregiver license. And for all we know, they're hiking in cheap, dirty product from out of state. Who knows? Maybe dirt cheap product from Oregon, and then pushing that stuff into. I mean, this is a reality of the market, and I think that there's a big distinction going on that like not all caregivers are bad. Basically, is what I'm getting down to, and I know that there's like a lot of us out here. Probably a majority of us. I'm talking like probably in the plus 90% range are probably the ones that are grown for patients, but there's like that 1-2% that are putting that bad rep. You know, they're the ones that are probably getting dirty distillate and stuff, and maybe even cutting it down further, thinning it out, and things like that. And I got a feeling that a lot of these people, they don't have that connection to the plant like we do. And I think that's a real important distinction to make, is that those of us that value the plant, I think, have good products and will pass testing if you give us the opportunity to. It's all about opportunity.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and something that Kate said too is that legal products that are in dispensary shelves that got tested are failing, and you can get bulletins are getting released like every week now, showing vitamin E and pesticides and all of that stuff in carts.
I think if you look at the way the community responds to things, there's more accountability when it's an individual caregiver. If you look at when test results come back or people go after companies, you can sit online and look at how everybody trashes platinum vapes. They're still everywhere and they're not going to go away, and people will still use them. You know what I mean? But if it's an individual, like this one person, you know what I mean, did this thing, then this one person can be a target of a community. But when it's like a corporation or conglomerate, I think it's a lot easier to sweep those bad things away. And I do think that there's a way to have more accountability in the caregiver system than there has been, and a way to continue to let caregivers provide products to patients, because the other consideration is what kind of products are able to be produced right now. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, so you can get gummies and shit, you know what I mean? But lots of the kinds of like edibles and stuff that you're getting from caregivers right now, facilities aren't going to be able to produce, at least not right away, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's another thing of like, okay, there'll be shortages and there'll be all the other stuff. I don't know, it's one of those things that it's hard to educate people beyond like Instagram, you know what I mean? So it's like, you feel like the ones that you're talking to kind of already know this stuff, and the people that it's like all this dumb shit's working on are the ones that you don't ever reach, you know what I mean? So that's a difficulty of all of that too.
Okay. Real talk from Spartan Grown. This is the way I see it. This is a money grab. That's all this is. It's just another money grab from the state to try to get more taxes in their pocket, because it doesn't make sense anyway. How are they helping the patient? This stuff is tested anyway. When they found out about the vitamin E, they found out to test for it. They corrected. That's corrected. Why would they want to keep everybody out of the market right now? We're having shortages on flour right now because the testing is so stringent right now. A lot of people have to remediate it. They're not even getting it through as flour. So to bottleneck it to, you know, they had to at least allow flour. You see that they're still allowing that, because then they would look really dumb. But, you know, it's just, to me, the way I see it from, you know, I kind of have the ability to see from both sides too, a little bit. And to me, I'm just looking at how I'm seeing this huge freaking hole in the market where people are lining up, and there's limits that these dispensaries are even allowing people to buy, because they're going to run out, and they're trying to put more limits on supply.
I think
A really good point that you made there about the fact that they can test for vitamin E and everything now. So why make it, you know, where you can't get those products anymore? What's the purpose?
I want to point out something else too, and it's that in the meantime, how many people are dying from nicotine, you know, cigarette smoking or alcohol or car accidents or any other fucking issue? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. We've had a couple people die, you know, and I get it. I want clean meds, you know. I grow my own meds. That's how I know I have clean meds. But at the same time, if I was stuck having to go to a dispensary, if I'm going to be really honest, I want to know it's clean. Does that mean that caregivers don't provide clean meds? No. It kind of depends on who you're dealing with. Know your dealer. First rule. What the fuck? Come on. I mean, know who you're getting your stuff from. If you're going to a dispensary, go to a reputable dispensary that has clearly labeled stuff that, you know, I mean, I don't know. I get it. I want everybody to have clean meds.
Yeah, I think everyone understands that. But like Spartan's saying, if they can test for it and know if it's clean or not, then they know if it's clean or not.
I don't want to go too Dill Gribble on us, but this just feels like another attack on caregivers, the biggest threat to big money in the state. And I don't want to get too ranty. I don't have numbers, but that's what it feels like to me. It's just another direct attack on us.
Are you the shoe, the wheelbarrow, or the Scotty dog on this playing board of Monopoly, my friend?
It's absolutely
I'm always the
an
race
attack
car,
on
dude.
us.
Why I
If
didn't
it
give him the
wasn't-
option to be the race car, bro. I knew that was you, man.
I'm always the race car or the thimble. You know it.
I'm always the Scotty dog.
I figured that.
I want to
If it
hear.
wasn't an attack on us, Abolish, they wouldn't give us 3 more months of putting product out on the market. If it was that big of a threat, we would be pulled off the
That's a good point, Eagle. Right before you cut off there.
The way I see it is the market, I mean, the patients, they know they have access. The ones who have cards have access to a lot more dispensaries, and they still claim, you know, the caregiver product is better. So it does kind of push the market. It keeps us going. It keeps us doing our craft, and I think the people know it. And yeah, it's a money grab. I've seen it as a money grab when they announced that the online portal won't let you list a caregiver anymore. It's just, you know, more signs that they're trying to push caregivers out and get the money coming in from the big tax revenue, the big grows. But if you have a med card, at least you still have access to a lot more dispensaries, so there's a chance of getting good meds. But it's us little craft growers that seem to produce the best product, and they're not going to get rid of us for a long time.
And we're being gate kept out of this.
Yeah.
Let's say that, I don't know. Let's say they were kind of batting towards our side, and let's say they weren't trying to push us out. Do you think that any of it has to do with what we were talking about, there being a oversupply of like concentrates and things like that, and with more product potentially failing testing, there's going to be more remediation and more overages of these kind of products? Do you think that's why they're kind of like determining now that we're going to say March is when there's going to be enough supply of concentrates that we no longer need the caregivers? Because that is ideal, you know, that's the plan, is they're eventually going to wean out
Well,
the caregivers, you know.
That's a pretty good point. And
That's-
Spartan was talking about that, right?
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's a big part of the problem. But I think they need to, when you have a problem, the best thing to do is sit down, relax for a fucking second, take a breath, and figure out what the hell the fucking problem is, the root cause. Well, the root cause of this whole problem is all this remediation product. Well, what's the number one thing that has to be remediated? Microbials. Okay, let's examine that. How are we testing microbials? Oh, we're just testing for any fucking microbials. And if it's over a limit, we're failing you. Well, that's a little fucking, you know, antiquated. You know, you have yeast that's just in the air floating around that's going to test on a microbial test.
I mean,
You know,
I'm curious to how many people actually got sick from caregiver product in the last, since 2008 due to microbials. Because I would be willing to bet that we'd be hearing about it a lot more if it was that harsh of a subject. Now, I can understand people with respiratory issues and things like that. But let's say, disclaimer, maybe these tests a little high in these areas, you shouldn't use these products.
well, they
Possible.
contradict themselves because on the medical side, that's what we are at Mechanico. We're restricted at, I believe it's 10,000 CFUs of microbials. On the rec side, if we were to get a rec license, which I believe we are pursuing, that just magically goes to 40,000. Okay, so the limit jumps 4 times because you're taking it recreationally over medicinally. That makes zero sense to me. So I don't know.
How about the fact that Michigan testing is more stringent than California, the state that requires every single product you buy to have a cancer warning on it?
Well, an interesting point about that, our next show, shout out to Jack Greenstock in the chat, discusses how some things are legal in California that are not legal in Michigan, and that you need to have your due diligence to look into things.
Spartan Honey Bear Casey in the chat said they raised the CFUs to 100,000.
Yeah, he just says that. So now the rec CFUs is 100,000. If that's true, which I 100%, I have no reason not to believe him. Now that's telling me, you know, they better do something on the medical side because it's so stringent right now. That's why, that's the main reason they have such a glut on the concentrate side. Or you could look at it the other way, is the choice that they give to a producer. So if you fail for microbials, your choices are A, you can get it retested. And if you pass, you have to get it retested again. And if you pass, then you can sell it. Now, if any of those 2 tests fail, then you have to destroy the product. So it's a total loss. So for sure, you're going to lose $400 a test, is it? Or whatever the hell it is for a full panel.
Plus
So
15 pounds, right?
That time for every 15 pounds of it, times that twice, because you got to do that twice no matter what. And then you have a 50-50 chance, or whatever the hell the chances are of, failing. And if you fail, I mean, I don't know. If you fail, I mean, it's not a very good choice. It's almost like, I don't know. That's a real big gamble. So 99% of the people, I am assuming, are saying, no, I'm not going to go the route where I'm going to have to destroy it. I'll take the go ahead route. And as long as I get the okay from the state to remediate, I'm just going to remediate this stuff and get, half price that I could as if it were flour. I mean, it's the way they set up the system. It's forcing the glut that way. So that's the real problem. So either raise your standards, or if you want to keep the standards the same, that's fine. But make another way around that testing that's not so hurtful to go that route.
Well, I think, in terms of microbials and stuff, what I imagine they imagine is that, like with anthrax, you can say inhale 5 parts per million and it's nothing, but 50 or 70, you're fucked. So it's like, what I imagine is they think that every medical patient is a 80-year-old woman with severe respiratory illness, and any trigger can like kill them. So, but at that point you shouldn't be smoking anything anyway, right? Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of ways to ingest this. We don't have to smoke. I mean, there's maybe a lot of weed that I wouldn't smoke, but I might throw it into some butter and eat it. Like I don't know. I feel like there's a grave difference between eating and smoking, and I think there's a lot of confusion between that too. That
There's definitely misinformation.
Right. So
I'm a big fan of every method that I can. I like to just, diversify my
Me
method.
too. What did you call it in the last show? We were on the Shane's Growing with My Fellow Grower show. Shout out Shane, I see you. Cheap Home Grow in the chat. We were talking about microdosing, and Spartan called it megadosing. That's what we do.
You hear full spectrum cannabis. I believe in full spectrum application.
Full spectrum application. You got any suppositories over there, Skilbo?
Negative, sir. Not quite full then.
Yeah, I'm testing your theory here.
I like the term nuclear saturation.
All right, I'm getting you one. So there was another thing that I wanted to talk about. Has everyone said their piece on this caregiver stuff? So
Food for thought.
Yeah, a little bit. There was a thing that came out on the 26th that said that recreational home delivery is now a thing. The first 3 recreational marijuana businesses have been approved for home delivery. I don't know if you want me to say what they are. There's one in Battle Creek, actually 2 in Battle Creek and 1 in Burton. So they didn't say when they'll be available. Your limit to purchase is 2.5 ounces. Your caregiver concentrate, or your concentrate limit to purchase, is 15 grams. Drivers must be 21 or older, can't carry more than 15 ounces at a time, and product must be secure if it's left in the vehicle. And they are always under GPS identification. They haven't released prices or anything, but I thought that would be interesting enough to talk about. And then as of Thursday, Laura says there are 45 businesses with adult use licenses.
My immediate thought would be, who's keeping track of the matrix on that?
My second thought would be, do you think that the reason that they're in Battle Creek, and you said Burton, right? So you think it's a zoning issue, or do you think that that's something that's available to everyone? Because I'm sure
it's always a zoning issue, dude. Like, speak to Red about trying to open a facility. It's always a township zoning, local board fighting somebody issue. So that's why you have like a lot of dispensaries in certain towns, because that'll be the one place where you're able to open them for a while.
Well, it's going to help with that, because allowing delivery is depending on how far they're willing to go. They might be able to go into jurisdictions that don't allow a facility there. So this is bringing medicine to people who otherwise would have to travel out of their hometown area to get it. So something like that, or people even that are so in need of medicine and maybe they can't get out very easily, so it saves them having to get out into the car and to go drive somewhere. So for those kinds of situations, I think it's a good thing.
Exactly. You know, it's all about access. You know, we're still, even though it's a recreational thing we're talking about, you still have to realize that you have to have access to it, just like when we just had the medical program, man.
Yeah, that's worth noting too. This is recreational that we're speaking about. There are medical delivery services already, I think.
So I'm kind of curious because I've never had medical delivery, but for the rec guys, what's like the common courtesy there? Do you tip the rec delivery dude like you tip a pizza driver?
Always the tip, dude.
Okay.
Okay.
Gonna let that ride this week.
I
We
would
went
think
deep
that's
in.
the one guy you do want to tip to make sure you're getting the quality bags. I'd keep that driver happy.
That's right.
Yeah, and to
And
make
send them back with munchy food.
Yeah, he might get to your place a little quicker. Maybe he'll stop at the gas station in Mickey D's after he swings by and drops off instead of
Or before. Say, bring me some fries and there's an extra 5 in it for you.
That
Dude,
too,
can
that
I
too.
put a
Maybe
Taco
he'll
Bell
grab you some
order on
wraps
top
or
of that?
papers.
Yeah, put a Taco Bell order on top of it. You could tip out on that. I'm sure of it.
Maybe your
Dude,
second
I need
order.
papers. Will you grab me papers? I'm sure he's got papers.
I don't know, man. I just grow my own and don't worry about fucking tough questions like that shit.
Too stoned, don't give a fuck, right?
Exactly.
So a question I'm trying to figure out is we see some recreational, we see some money being generated, and we think, okay, that's going to kind of light a candle under some of these townships to maybe change their mind on opting out. But what else can we do? How would you go about it? What would you say to go down to your township and try to get something going and leaning these people toward allowing, micro licenses or regular grows or dispensaries? Any thoughts?
As the dumb person in the group that doesn't really know the answer but wants to jump out in the street and get ridiculed or jumpstart a better conversation, I would say I might want to try checking out with Normal first and seeing if they have any packets or anything put together, or if you can find something online as a proposal package that someone else has used somewhere else, modify it for your area, and then rock it out, man. Make sure that you don't dress and look like your typical burnout stoner dude or dudette, whatever you want to be.
And know where you're petitioning. Like, you don't want to be in old man's neighborhood and get,
shot.
shot.
Those are some of the hardest parts about our law, is that if you we could overpower it, and we could get a petition ran, but some of these, like my area, it's same deal. Like, you're talking driveways that are a couple 100 yards. You don't want to go down those people's driveways sometimes. And some of the stuff hanging in their yard kind of makes you turn away. So, other things, but okay, first thing I would do is I would definitely not go in there with any of your emotions showing, have a clear head on this topic when you're going to these meetings. Don't get emotional. Like, for example, that I don't want to call her out, but that woman in California, that could be potentially be a bad example set to the what's going on in the city and the city government.
Yeah, I think we actually spoke about that as a bad example before on here.
Yeah.
Well, whether you want to be or not, you are absolutely representative of your cause when you're presenting it.
Yes. And so emotions play big onto that. And the other thing is really, really have it planned out. And I think going to Normal and seeing that is a great number one to do. And then if you can potentially try to reach out to somebody who's done a lot of these, like Rick Thompson or somebody like that, who's at the head of trying to get these communities to opt in, because they know what it takes. And definitely make sure that you're bringing up things like getting rid of the black market in the area, and understanding that the licensed market, these are the pros for it, the cons, we're not seeing them, so to speak. Okay, there's been a couple break-ins in a couple dispensaries, we know this, but the cities can also they're being misinformed. Sorry to ramble on, and I'll end this real quick once I say that they're being misinformed by thinking that they have to opt out of everything. They don't have to have provisioning centers. They can opt in to some of these other. So I think that even maybe writing a small email. You don't have to go like the whole suit and tie route, but write an email that says, hey, you don't have to opt out. I want to just grow, not stink up the neighborhood. I have carbon filters. What can we do? Come on, check out my grow.
Yeah, education is like the biggest first step in all of the cases. I think you're generally talking to people that are completely ignorant about everything, and they just saw a memo or something, and you really got to give them some initiative to give a shit about what you give a shit about.
So my advice was going right there. Education. Educate yourself first. Number one. The law is on their webpage. You can download it, read it for yourself, see what that law says, know what it means, know what you're asking for, know what that entails. If you know the law, you know there's a huge benefit for allowing them into your jurisdiction. They get a cut of that tax money. If they opt out, they don't get that cut. So, if you know the law, those are your ammo. That's your ammo for your gun. You need to know, pile up as much ammunition as you can have, know that law. Then go in there and talk to the lawmaker and educate them on that law. Your knowledge on the law is going to impress them. And then if you could come back like Red and everybody else were saying, is like with knowledge saying, if you can cite statistics saying, hey, this is what it looks like when you have these kind of facilities,
Exactly.
you're providing a safe place for people to access medicine. It's all tested. It's not unregulated anymore. Blah, 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 blah. All that is just extra ammunition. So,
but you also want to do, like what we do all the time in this show is we try to create win-win-win situations. It's easy to create a situation where you win. I mean, that's just called fucking somebody else over. Or you can create a win-win situation where you can have a partnership with somebody else and be like, hey man, it's beneficial for you and it's beneficial for me. But what I've learned in all of my years is that you need to create win-win-win situations where it's beneficial for you, it's beneficial for your partner, and you have to show them how it's beneficial to a third party or some kind of demographic or something like that. And when you look into these things, look at the demographic, look at who you're trying to propose to. Even if you have the law on your side and you know that you can do this, it's not court. It's just public speaking, man. So always keep in mind who you're trying to have a conversation with. Know the ammunition, look things up, find out what they're bitching about, and then try to figure out where you can come with a counterpoint or a proposition or something else. I mean, it can be done. You have to believe in what you're doing as much as you want them to believe in what you're doing.
You're fighting against talking points that were written in like the 50s. So do some research and you can beat that.
Yeah, the deck is really stacked in your favor when it comes to information and arguments. So really what your job is when you go down to your ruling body, whatever it is, be it a township or a county office or whatever it is, and you're talking to that supervisor, you just need to have the question, is this not happening here? What's the reason? You can figure out why, then you can start figuring out how to fix and change that over to, well, okay, now we should.
I agree 100% with you guys about making yourself knowledgeable. But I also like to point out the fact that even though you may not be the most knowledgeable person on the block, please at least show up to these meetings in your towns and whatnot. The time of being hiding behind a veil and not showing up because you're afraid to be looked at this town meeting because you're a grower or a user is over. It's recreational. At least show up this meeting. You don't have to out yourself and say, yeah, I'm a smoker or I'm a grower or whatnot. At least show up and let your opinion in, numbers, show up in numbers at least. When you go to these meetings, it's kind of sad. We all are very knowledgeable, and I'm not pointing at anybody on this panel by any means, but when you do show up these meetings, we're really lacking in numbers, where we're not making ourselves be heard, and we have a perfect opportunity. But it's really sad to see the lack of support in the community at these local meetings and whatnot.
Yeah, I
I
agree
think
with all
Those
that.
meetings are scheduled right on when everybody works. They don't want to change their work schedule, so they expect you to take your work schedule to change it just to go to a damn meeting. That's the biggest problem I see or I have with it.
I think understanding too that those meetings are an opportunity for like the public to feel like they're being heard, but those meetings are absolutely not where those decisions are being made. You know what I mean? And those decisions in those townships and cities and stuff are being made by like 4 or 6 or 8 people that are usually like, especially in like smaller towns, like little good old boys or like people that can get elected in small towns. So, okay, how do they get elected? By schmoozing with people. Go in there and say, like, who makes the decisions on it? What, you know what I mean? Like, here's samples of the products that I want to be making in the township. You know what I mean? Like, this is the way that I would distribute them, selling them on the fact that, like, you're a legitimate business. You know what I mean? Like, you're not the idea of a stoner burnout drug dealer that they've been sold. But also understand, when you Google stuff, you can find online from the Michigan Township Association presentations that have been put together by lawyers that go and advise the township panels whether or not they should do these things, whether they should opt in. And it'll be like when they go to a conference twice a year, one of the 30-minute presentations is some lawyer who got paid by a firm to look up marijuana stuff for a minute and give a blip about it. So sometimes all the information that these people have ever gotten in it is at like a retreat, you know what I mean, on like Mackinac Island, where all the whatevers get together and hear some dude that doesn't know shit about it talk about it for 15 minutes, and they say don't do it. If you can find the PowerPoints online if you Google them, and they tell the people don't do it. It's too early. Wait. You can always opt in later. You know what I mean? So that's like a lot of the things. These people are initially opting out because they've never heard anything good about marijuana. They don't know anybody that openly uses or smokes it. And they've been told by the only people that have ever talked to them about it that are experts not to do it. You know what I mean? So then a million people can show up to a township board meeting and say, we want you to let us smoke weed here. But that's not the same thing as speaking to somebody in a one-on-one way and having expert level conversations. You know what I mean? You can set meetings with all the people in your local areas to talk to them.
See what I said, Sequence, when we started this? I jump out in the street and we get it started.
But really, when you go into any meeting, even if you're just somebody watching the meeting, but you're going to stand up, maybe make a comment, don't feel like you're the loner or you're the standout or you're the one with the lone opinion, because multiple studies are coming out now where it's over 50% people have smoked or do still smoke. So what you have to go in there with a mindset with is every person in here knows at least one person that smokes. You know what I mean? Every single person knows that person. They know it's not harmful. You know what I mean? So you can go in there kind of with that in your mind. So it's not just like, oh, I'm the lone person that knows this information. Everybody knows it. They're just not willing to stand up and say they know it. So approach it in that kind of an aspect. But like, look, everyone out here, in this crowd, somebody that smokes, somebody probably who benefits from even at least CBD. So why would you want to hold the promise of relief and everything that offers, and then on top of that, tax dollars over what are we really worried about? I think that kind of approach where you're not really combative and it's just more like that kind of approach that you get you a lot further.
Yeah, I think there might be some people that could possibly relate to this situation where it's tough to expose yourself. Small towns, right? Some of these real small towns, let's say you got a warehouse or something and you don't, it's a little bit of a ways away, all you have is like video monitors and things like that, and you check on it here and there. Well, that might not be a place that you're known to often in that community. And I'm sure that there's some situations that might occur like this. You could do some practice, if you don't want to like totally expose yourself right away, you got some ends to tie up, let's say zoning wise or something, you haven't pulled permits or something, you can't financially expose yourself. Go to a similar town and maybe do some practice or see what their personalities are behind these doors. For example, I've gone to like some of these smaller towns. I'm similar in that situation. That's why I kind of bring that up. I've talked to like my director and things like that, and he's openly told me, some of the people are kind of curious what you're doing in your facility and your building because this, that, or the other, and knowing that they don't want it there. I don't want to raise the hassle right now because I'm just financially not completely ready to go full in on this. I'm kind of slowly progressing, as most of us I think are in this industry. So I've gone to some of these other towns, and what I've found is some of the more common people that are attending these meetings are of the older generation, and they're curious, they're asking questions. why is this medicinally helping? Like, because, you know, for example, the group stood up and gave a speech on some things that they were opening up a facility at, and of course this township wasn't for it, but what I got is that the citizens, I think, are pretty receptive. So, you know, it's easy to educate the people outside of these meetings. You know, after the meeting, everybody starts talking and mingling and things like that. That's your best option. So start going to your meetings or some of these other meetings if you don't want to go to your own, and just start like doing the mingling thing before and after the meetings, you know, and start, because these people are wondering, how does it help medically? Inform them on terpenes, inform them on CBD, low THC, maybe whatever you can to repel the drug idea, right? So that's their fear, is that it's a drug. I think a lot of these people hear marijuana and they don't even think that it's a plant. They think that it's a needle or something. I don't know what they think, but why would they fear this plant? My goodness. Anyway, that's my rant. I'm done.
Yeah, but that's a good point. I mean, there's small things we can do, but everyone can. All we have to do is make steps towards normalization. We have to make it normal every day. You know, me working at Mitten Cannon Crew, we go out to lunch at work and we just smoke. I mean, we just blow out the 5-6 different places we cycle through. You know, where the guys going in there smelling like fucking dank. But you know what? We're in there. We're dropping fucking money every fucking day. We're fucking pleasant. We're cool fucking people. You know, we're
It's not like a bunch of drunks rolled in there, you know?
Exactly. They're fucking happy to see us come in, and we don't get hassled for smelling like fucking straight dank. So, you know, it's just that kind of, it's little steps, it seems like, but, you know, to normalize it like that, it might change some people's opinions.
Well, and along normalizing it, and I've seen some people talking about it in chat, like how many people gave weed as a Christmas gift? You know what I mean? I did. And I had a bunch of people get stuff as Christmas gifts, you know what I mean? So it's like how many more people are like rediscovering weed or trying it for the first time or whatever, you know what I mean? It is getting more normal for sure.
I think that's fantastic that people are giving it as gifts now. Like, I can give beer as gifts at my company party. Hopefully, in the next year or so, I can give weed as gifts. That would be badass.
I want to point one thing out though, is we seem to almost be focusing on cultivation alone. You know, and you really start thinking about it when you want to sell it to your township or whatever, realize that you can really focus if you have an older population, like Jack was saying about the Midwest. They've got a lot of aches and pains and they might not have health insurance and stuff like that. Instead of trying to sell them on like high percentage THC, let's get blown the fuck out kind of pitch, talk about topicals, talk about how you can use cannabis responsibly, and it will neither give you a positive urinalysis test and you're not going to feel any kind of psychoactive effects from it whatsoever, but you get all the benefits of things like THCA and things like that. And you can explain that to them and say, hey, look, this is an alternative treatment for some people that, you know, you might want to look into.
I think that's the biggest fear, is that word psychoactivity, right? That means change in consciousness. A lot of people are afraid of this change in consciousness, right?
That's why shrooms are illegal.
They think it's similar to mushrooms. They think it's similar to LSD. That's their perception because you use this term psychoactive effect. In reality, it can be incredibly psychoactive. Let's say when you're eating it, and it reacts that way. But for example, you know, if you smoke a 1-to-1, or if you smoke something that's incredibly purple and doesn't get you that high, that might be good for somebody that's fresh out of the start to realize that psychoactivity that people are talking about is really more just a heightened sense of alertness, a heightened sense of
Man,
say reality, you know?
Yeah, like colors are so much more vibrant after you smoke. Like the world is just better afterwards.
And in a way that is psychoactivity, but it's definitely not LSD.
The difference between then it's not hallucinogenic.
Hallucinogenic, right? That is a huge.
I've definitely been there though. We talked about in the last show, Spartan and I. Like when I first started smoking, like you could get to a point where it was hallucinogenic for sure. So I still think that it's possible to get there, and I try really hard. I just can't get there anymore.
Yeah, I think that if you got somebody that, for example, I've tried to turn some people who have tried smoking in the past, let's say in the 70s, 80s, They said, man, it was just too much. I smoked it and it like fried me. I couldn't, it was seeing shit and it was crazy. And there's a couple things that could have happened. I mean, that could have been like some really, really good weed, some of that like African black skill, but we were talking about that stuff the other night. But there's also this potential that there have been research chemicals going around since like the 60s. I mean, people have been putting research chemicals in, believe it or not, even their cannabis. And this includes potentially, I don't even know, like maybe some of these hallucinogenic ones, but definitely like PCP and things like that. And in the 80s, I believe that there was a huge thing going around where people were putting PCP and they basically, or ether as well. You could basically dip ether cigarettes, and I think that there's a large perception, a large population of people that may have tried what they thought was cannabis in the 70s and 80s, and these people could be our parents. And they may have gotten hit with a ether stick or a PCP stick or something like that, and their perception of what they think cannabis is might be way different than what it really is. Sorry, old man, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, if anybody knows where to get a bag of weed like that, could they just point me that direction?
So
there's some strains that are known, man. Alaskan Thunderfuck, Trainwreck,
no,
Jack the Ripper.
You know what? I used to think that
PCP, something like that,
like Jack the Ripper and Trainwreck and stuff are known for highly psychoactive effects.
White Widow.
Vortex was that way.
See, those might really turn somebody off for the first time if they get hit with that, or they might be thinking of something like that from the 80s or something that they got hit with. Maybe try giving them a little something that's a 1-to-1 or one of those like really, really heady purples.
Well, I tell you, I hadn't consumed cannabis or alcohol or anything for like 15 years, right? When, and it's like the embarrassing story. My wife had some cannabis around and, she'd smoked occasionally, whatnot. And after a lot of research and talking to doctors and therapists and all this shit and all my friends, like, because I was sober, right? I finally just was like, yeah, I have to do something to treat like this back pain, right? So I took 4 hits off of a pipe and I was on the floor. She was at school and it was a fucking nightmare, man. Like, it was so overpowering and horrible. I'm telling you, I was in the fetal position, just uncomfortable, and I knew I was going to be okay, but it was like, oh my God, it was way too much, right?
Exactly. That's why I highly advocate when you're introducing someone to cannabis, don't do that to them. You know that you grow good shit, so just say like, here's 1 hit. Let me know how you feel in 10 minutes. We'll see how we'll go from there, Or don't give them a whole cookie, ruin their night. People, if they're introduced the right way, will have a good time with it. If not, they'll be like the lady that said, I tried it once in the 80s and thought it was the worst thing ever, because you were one of those people that gave them that experience.
So you're saying don't open with big milky bong rips? Is that what?
Well, and dabs and stuff like that,
Clear that bong. What the hell?
You can be responsible when you introduce people to it. You don't have to push them onto it in a way that like ruins the entire experience.
Right.
Like, you don't gotta. It's not like a pissing contest,
Right. And people will become coma guys around us just naturally more often than not. So it's not like, we don't have to push that. And I hate that, actually. I don't ever want to make anybody feel uncomfortable with cannabis, because that's exactly what turns people off, right? Like, if I have an older lady neighbor who has all sorts of ailments, and I give her an edible, am I going to give her like a 25 milligram or like a 5 milligram? You know what I mean? Like, she needs something small to just try before she goes to sleep, stuff like that, and really ease people in, because it can be traumatic, and turn people off forever.
Yeah, exactly.
All of our previous gatherings that we've had, the coma guys that we have had have not been goaded into taking extra hits or anything else. We don't put any kind of peer pressure on them. They just
it's always arrogance.
They just smoke themselves to sleep.
It's just pure arrogance. It's like I feel like I never have to say no. Like, I warned them. It's like, we're gonna smoke a lot. Feel free to step back, drink some water, whatever. Didn't do it.
You have to keep up with some people.
Now we have pictures of him passed out sitting up. Like
Yeah.
you don't got to be arrogant like that, but it's
We have a
fucking
pillow.
hilarious.
We have a pillow named after you.
Like I think most of us on the panel have probably been smoking for 20 plus years. So I mean, we need to smoke a lot of cannabis to just kind of start our batteries up, let alone keep them charged.
I think Eagle is our elder smoker on the panel here. I think he's got me beat by like a year or two.
Nice.
I might be the youngest, the least amount, besides maybe Miss C.
Let's see.
Thinking I'm maybe at 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm around yours.
So exactly
Really?
the same length of time as that beard has been growing. So you
Interesting.
started growing a garden and that wicked fucking beard, bro. Love it.
This thing is not. It's just a little bit over a year old.
Cobra says 40 plus years growing. That's pretty fantastic.
That's awesome.
The beard is part of the microbiome.
Yeah, he was talking about that in the last show too.
He's got mycelium.
Let's chat about your microbiome that you got in Abolished Garden.
Even with a ton of smoking experience, though, you can still find yourself in a position where you find yourself wrecked. And that happened to me this morning. I smoked that hash joint this morning, and I was really blew out. I actually DM'd Freak Fragoli and said, "Man, that garlic smash and this insane in the membrane equals. It makes me feel like I've got a concussion." And it did, man. I couldn't think about nothing for an hour easy, man. I was just tore up, and it was a bit much, but it was refreshing. I didn't think I could get there, but I was. In all reality, it worried me because what I thought partway through that, I was like, man, I'm supposed to be smoking sequence out here in about 3 weeks, and I found myself all tore up off this one joint. I got some work to do.
Good luck, my friend.
It's that strange, man. That's what it is to me. Some strange terps always hit you hard. Like shout out to Michigan Matt for Christmas. He hooked me up with. Still got some of that sour garlic cookie. That,
man,
this he grew himself.
Very
And
nice.
so, and that stuff is just so different. You know what I mean? It's got that. I think it's sour D. Is what the cross is.
I'm with you, Spartan, because I want to shout out Old Man with the Carmella. That's done something for everybody that's gotten a little bit of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got a jar of that waiting for you, man, for sure. And I popped one of the outdoor seeds just to see what it's going to be, right? So they're still available, those seeds.
Eagle,
well.
you want that clementine in the morning. That'll help you.
Oh, the for girly clementine is the one.
I know you have the clementine in your bag, I think. So that's the one you want in the morning.
Welcome to Flavor Town.
I've always liked the orange terps myself.
That's the one that won't put you to sleep, you know, which is what you don't want to happen.
So I've got a story about Fagroli dabs. We were at the first Cannabis Cup, I think 3 years ago, and Fagroli was in the Ocean Grown booth with Dago and Vader and all them, and he was doing some of his dark plasma. I think practically the first run of the terp sauce style that he does now, and I'm like baby dab and take a big dab, and I was out. I need to buy that pillow because I was out. I was in the Magic Buttermaker booth down off the speedway, passed out, but it wouldn't let me pass out. It would just let me lay down and just keep intensifying, and I was out. I was out all day. All the seeds I wanted to buy sold out. Next day had to buy other seeds. It was bad.
For Groli's got a string of victims, man. Jesus, he's got a littered across the racetrack.
Good.
No, you can never warn people enough. Like every time I give people edibles, I'm like, be careful. And then later they're like, you said be careful, but I wasn't. You know what I mean? So
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, you do it to yourself. You can't warn people enough.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot of people like will come to me and they talk about the edibles don't really do too much for them, and then you still have to warn them because some people make them right, some people don't, and
facts,
they're not ready for it. So you got to be like, take it slow. Don't think that it's going to be the same problem that you're having, because it might not be.
And I want to throw it right over there to Mrs. Spartan Grown, somewhere in Spartan Grown land over there, for her fabulous cookies too, man. Those ones, they are the sneakiest cookies, man.
Yeah, the thing with those cookies, it was fun. one day maybe I'll walk you guys through the process, but we screwed with that recipe because for me, I mean, I need something strong, and so does she now. But I'm really picky on the flavor, like the weed flavor. It's crazy because I can take a fan leaf off a plant and put it directly in my mouth and eat it, and I'm fine doing that. But if I taste even the slightest little bit about a weed in the edible, it makes me want to gag for some reason. So it was that process of trying to preserve the potency, but still remove chlorophyll taste. And we've got it down. I think, we fuck around with it here and there, but I think we got it down pretty good to where it doesn't taste like weed, but it's still got a good hit.
You're using that source, right? That's how you're getting around that taste, right?
No, I'm not using that at all. I'm doing all old school techniques, man. I'll just do a quick rundown real quick. I'll take cured trim, dry cured trim. Then we decarb that in the oven. Then we take that decarbed weed and we soak that in water. And what I'm doing with this process is leaching chlorophyll. So after 12 hours, I'll discard the water and then refill it up with water again. So basically it gets a 24-hour soak, but I replenish the water halfway through. Then I take that weed, put it across the screen, dry it again. Now I have dry decarbed weed that I can use to make my butter. Then I do my butter process, and that takes a while. But we also add soy lecithin, which is a fat emulsifier, so that you absorb more of the fat. We use the highest fat butter fat we can buy. So it's like a clarified butter. So we absorb more of the THC, and we use as much trim as we can slam in there. Usually, we're talking 3 ounces usually. But and another thing we do in the process is I do put it through a freeze cycle because there's something we found that really helped increase something, potency wise. So I think that's the only weird stuff we do. And other than that, it's just an infused butter.
The use of the lecithin is to help the THC cross the blood-brain barrier quicker without having to go through the stomach and the liver. So your onset time is much quicker with that.
Really important that when you attempt to do edibles, you do it the proper way and decarb your products and do it so that they will actually work. Or you too will have edibles that don't get people high.
Yeah, that step that I did where I decarbed the initial dry cured trim was because I read somewhere that THCA is like slightly soluble in water. Like you might get some leaching of THC into water in the acidic form, but in the decarb form, when you drop that acid, now THC is not soluble in water. So that gives me a way that I can leach the chlorophyll out with the water, but preserve the THC. So that's why I do that step.
Yeah, it helps to clarify the butter. Yep.
That's the huge taste factor right there. If you take the step, it adds a ton of time to the process, but it's one of those things that's worth it in the end. It improves the flavor of all your edibles and your butters. It improves the color. It won't be so green.
Your cookies are crazy good as far as the flavor goes. Like very, very little cannabis flavor.
That's why I'm really interested in. I think I'm gonna. It was cool listening to your guys' podcast on the Herbs Now dryer and finding out that they sell them right at the local grocery store here in Jackson. So that is awesome. I'm thinking about maybe grabbing one of those, and I want to try, like maybe with just an ounce, to when I cut it to water cure it, and then throw that after I water cure it, throw that in that dryer and see how that will be for a smoke, because the water cure is going to make it super it's going to pull that chlorophyll out, so it's going to be super smooth. And then drying with the Herbs Now means my hang time is less, which means I should preserve terps, because the longer you hang, the more terps you lose. So it'll be interesting to see if combined together what would happen with that, but it's going to be a while before I can afford to get one.
Yeah, they look interesting. I think Jack is in the chat, but he talked about the Herbs Now interview on his podcast that comes out tomorrow. So I think you'll be interested in his thoughts too. He made some good points, pros and cons both. I think there is a lot to it. I think it's useful for a lot of people for sure. Who's doing what in their gardens? I'm getting ready to harvest. So I made the decision I'm going to make a harvest video for Abolished, and we're going to do a short on the thing. So, because I have the camera set up now, the SD cam finally card installed today. That was a pain. But we're good to go, and it's set to time lapse in the plants that are stretching in flower right now, which should be really interesting. So they grow a couple inches a day probably, so that'd be cool under time lapse.
I like the way that you keep showing the shots from the cam like that, because it allows us to watch right along on your page as these things grow. The camera's not moving around, you know. I'm not always going to get it from the same angle if I'm using my phone or whatever, but that stationary camera is where it's at.
Well, when I first started doing the pictures of my grow, I would always take a picture of the full scrog net, no matter what the plants looked like. So it's the same scale every time. And then, you know, obviously when the plants get bigger, you got to pull out a little bit, but it gives you a good idea of how much they grow per day. But it's kind of interesting because you never really get an idea of it until you walk in the room. Like you see everybody's rooms on a 3-inch screen. So you walk in there and you're like, holy fuck, I forgot these plants are 6 foot tall and, you know, they smell amazing and they're all sticky and stuff, you know, when you're looking at it on a phone.
Are you doing 24 hours of darkness, 48 hours of darkness, or are you not able to do any of those?
No, it's perpetual now. So I'll be scoping them over the next few days and pulling them soon. I pulled the citral at 63 days before, and we're at like day 60 right now. So we're about there.
That's the 6.
Yeah, well, the 6 and all the other plants on that side. The sour melon doesn't look ready. The 9-pound will probably be ready.
Big Detroit?
Maybe. We'll see. The crescendo goes a little bit longer sometimes. I'm pretty excited. What do you guys got going on?
I'm dealing with an over-vegged, crazy mess in flower now that's just going nuts, just like pushing the limits of what I think is going to be good. I don't know. We'll see.
You got a lot of tops in there.
Yeah. I think I'm going to get definitely a yield for sure. For sure getting the yield. I don't know. I'm just trying not to bleach the tips. You know what I mean? So I've got that HLG turned down to 300 watts, but I refuse to turn it down lower than that. If it wants to be asshole, it's just going to have to burn its tips at this point. And then that's that Gorilla Glue number 4. It just decided to be a beast this time. And then and then I have a that Blue Cough, same thing. That's the one with the big thick colas stacking up, as big like thick donkey dick colas. That's the Blue Cough.
Can you hold it like that again? Let me take a. Yeah, perfect. Where
do you like right here?
That's where I like it. Yeah, that's where I like it.
You got the screenshot. We're good.
Yeah, so I'm happy because it's like these giant colas and stuff, but at the same time I'm nervous. You know, I'm worried. Okay, I don't want to worry about bud rot. I don't want to. You know, there's a ton of leaf in there. I'm thinking I might have to strip it. You know, all this good stuff. But so far I'm letting it just ride it out, and we'll see what happens. It's using a lot of nutrients though, so I've been feeding a lot of top dress just to try to keep up with them to hope to see them to the end. But then I have that whole quad of Snow King going that's just looking awesome. It's like a nice full canopy. So I'm stoked to harvest that. And I just trimmed up the Spartan Glue, which has been a while since I've had the Spartan Glue. So really happy to get that and to get that in my lungs. I've been smoking that today. Stuff knocks me out.
That looks really frosty, Red. That looks like it has a glue type frost to it. Like it's not really showy frosty, but it's really resiny frosty.
It has a glue smell to it. It's Slurricane by Archive. Slurricane F1 by Archive. If you know, I no longer have around. This is the last jar of it right here. And it's really good, man. I should have kept it around, but I have a couple packs and I'm going to hunt through them because I got a feeling there's a better keeper in there. So,
amen, bro. I'm excited for you to grow that.
yeah, dude. Nice
I'll have to get a cut of that one.
Yeah, do hunt that. I've been wanting to do a slurricane for sure.
I like it, man. For the price point that they put it out at, holy cow. Nice job, Archive. You guys are
Yeah,
gonna have to
good
do your
looking
own
bud, bro.
research on that one because I don't know the backstories.
Slurricane is something in Purple Punch, right?
Purple Punch and Dozy Do, yeah. There's like a little thing going between like the there's some stories about the difference between the archive version and the in-house genetic version that I won't really go into because I don't want to talk about that right probably live like that because I don't know this whole story. But
Right.
look into it because it might be interesting. But yeah, man, this is a fire cut. I love it, dude. It's great smoke. But yeah, kind of Gorilla Gluey on the scent.
It definitely
and
looks like it.
great high, man. It's like good, good, almost daytime high, nice and energetic. I'm sitting here feeling great. I'm smoking it. Probably talkative. I like it, man. It's good stuff. Great stuff. Not making my eyes too squinty. It's kind of open them up a little bit. Yeah, I dig it.
That's the type of feedback everybody should have when it comes to their smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, what does it do? How does it make you feel? What is
How's it make
the
you feel?
yeah? Do you get cotton mouth? Do you get hungry? Do you
I've
get
got
anxious?
39 genetics, and so I had a bunch of my patients write me a compiled list, and so when patients come around and they don't know what they want, it's not indica, it's not sativa, it's very specific, very tailored, and usually I hit it right on the head, and that's what they go with for a long time. So it's really nice to get that type of feedback from a lot of different people.
Here's a little nugget of that Spartan glue I trimmed up. It's not the closest trim, but she's always real gooey, so I like to leave more on her because it's just so covered. But this time it smelled.
So yeah, I spotlighted you. Go ahead.
I was like, this time it came out smelling a lot more like pepper, like almost like cracked pepper. So it must be really high in beta carotene or whatever the hell it's called.
I like the bud structure on that a lot too. Sorry for being late on the spotlight. I was reading the chat. They're going crazy over there today.
That's okay.
It's hard not to be interested in it too, because like I run a slurricane cross, obviously. It's my main thing, and I think a lot of people are running slurricane crosses now.
I put your garlicane into flower. I put Spartan's Blue Cough into flower. I put the Snow Cane number 6 into flower. I'm excited about all of those things. Citra Blue 3, the one that Abolished just harvest, is going back into flower for the final time, probably. Kyle Gardner's Sunshine and Haze, which is Sunshine Kush and Tropicana Haze. That's in flower. Really excited about that one. And then the Oregon's Huckleberry crossed with Headband, crossed with Ice Cream Man. I have that in flower also. That was from Riser Rich on Instagram. So that's the first Instagram breeder plant I ever grew. So we'll see how that goes. It looks awesome. The leaf structure is really unique. It's got like teardrop shaped leaves.
You getting any kind of smells off of that one yet?
I haven't stem rubbed it. I don't touch my plants too often unless I'm cutting leaves off of them, which I do about every day.
Why not?
So I'm always all up in them, all up under their skirts most of the time.
That's right. I'd like touch mine just to touch them. So I'm always curious why people don't a lot.
I mean, it's fine to touch basically all of them except for the buds when they're in flower.
Yeah, veg is where you mess with them, and flowers where you never touch them again.
Yeah, I don't like buds. When people walk into my room and pinch my bud, it just it triggers me.
Yeah, it should.
I'm fighting words.
It should.
Yeah, I've been.
I think a lot of it is people that aren't experienced in grow rooms, and they go in and they've seen some like seed hunter, strain hunter shit on TV, and they see these people on the side of a mountain going like grabbing a bud and going, yeah, you know, and all that kind of thing. I had a guy do that in my grow, and I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like it was like
man.
last week of flower, and just walked right up to it, and grabbed it, and smashed it right up into his face. And I was like, I don't actually touch my buds, dude, ever. Don't touch my buds. It was pretty funny, but
Man, that would be awful. Yeah.
I'm a bud
Sometimes
pincher and I pinched your buds the last time I was at your house, old man. I'm so sorry.
For Girly said I throw gloves at them.
Free Girly's been really entertaining in chat tonight. Appreciate that.
sometimes if I do really like the way something smells and I want to share it, I'll go towards like the bottom of the plant. I'll be like, here, check out this bud right here. Here, squeeze this little bud down here. Just take a little smell test off the bottom shit that I'm gonna end up smoking or throwing away anyway.
I do that. I do
Or
that.
the edible shit.
I'm with you. I do that same thing.
It's
All
a
right.
good way to deter them from the top, you know.
All right, we wanted to talk about the grow off a little bit. Abolish, did you grab some stuff?
Yes, I did.
I don't know what all we wanted to talk about. We can announce that the genetic sponsor is going to be 2020 Mendocino. I'm wearing their hat, actually. Thanks to Bates in the chat. It's going to be an unreleased strain. I don't think that we're going to release the genetics until maybe late in flower. Sponsors will include Easy Swap Pots, Bad Bunny Nutrients, D's Bags, Detroit Nutrient Company, Roots Organic, Country Roots, and there's some more. We have a light sponsor. We have nutrient sponsors for winners and stuff like that. We'll have weekly or bi-weekly giveaways during the thing, stuff like that. So we're really excited about it. Wanted to give you guys all a oh, hold on, I'll spotlight you again. Oh, you are still. So we got a Hortilux 1000 DE. So we're pretty excited about this thing. We've been working hard on this in the background. So we hope to see as many people as excited as possible. It's looking like we're going to try to do it from February until when abolished? What was the time frame? You have it all written down?
1 second. I'd have to check. It'd be 3 months after the launch.
Abolished, I just have to say you make such a good Vanna.
With him and then the other one from Spartan, we could do some really cool Photoshops for this week.
You're welcome. Hey, while we were talking about that, that reminded me, I wanted to bring up a couple of the people you brought up. 2020 Mendocino's running a Free the Seeds campaign for those who are in need of seeds. Go to their webpage, 2020mendocino.com. I think there's a tab it's called Free the Seeds. You can sign up, I think, on a mailing list or something, and if you're within the first 500, they'll send you out some free seeds. So check that out. And then Country Roots, you said, was another sponsor. They'd made it. I saw an Instagram post, I think it was today or maybe yesterday, saying that they're having some struggles with their store. And so if you're looking for some kind of organic amendments, check them out. They even have a website. They're out in Newaygo. If that's far away from you, like it is for me, you check out their website. And I think, hold on, I wrote it down.
I want to say they have a deal that's for website only, right?
Yeah, countryrootsltd.com, and then the code is day1roots. Looks like it's all capitalized, and 1 is just the number. So day, the number 1 roots, and I think it's 10% off. So take advantage of that if you can. Help some people out right here in Michigan.
And purple, yeah, actually, shout out to Country Roots. Go check those guys out if you can. Give them a holler. And also, Purple Thumb OG in the chat is wondering, do you have to be in Michigan? I believe that pickup is in Michigan. Somebody might be able to inform you better than that. What you say, Sequence?
We're still working on ironing out all of the details, so I don't know how much we can talk about that part yet. But yeah, that's what we're hoping to do, is have a place where we can do a pickup for everyone that's local to reduce shipping costs as much as possible, and maybe smoke a little bit
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's a
then,
good chance for us to hang out with, all the people in chat and everything else. Just have a nice little sesh.
we're working on the location, so if anybody knows a person that knows a person, that would help actually. But we're in talks with a place, so very exciting. We've been working on this for, I don't know, how long would you say now? Like 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun.
So what exactly is it? So what is it going to be? Everybody gets the same genetics, and what are they doing from there? What's the goal?
So everyone's going to get the same fem seeds. Hi, Miss C. Everyone's going to get the same fem seeds. Everyone's going to get some easy swap pots. Everyone's going to get some Bad Buddy nutrients. I think that's as much as I can remember. But then we're going to have stuff like prizes, every other week, random giveaways for entrants and stuff like that. And like you saw, Abolish was showing some of the winter stuff with like 1,000-watt light and et cetera, et cetera.
So
Yeah, we'll have all the official rules and everything out for you guys here in the next couple
We're
days.
hoping to do a live judging too, just like the pickup. We're hoping to do a thing where everybody can bring their flower and we can just have a big sesh with all of us with the entrants and figure out who the winners are. 2020 said that they were willing to give $500 in seeds to the top 3 placers if they kept clones and brought them to the thing. So make sure you keep clones if you enter, and you can get $500 in seeds on top of any prizes that you may win. So that was really cool by them. I really appreciate those guys. They've always done well by us. So I really appreciate them helping us out.
We also have a couple of sponsors. One of them is D's Bags is going to be part of some bi-weekly giveaways during the grow off. So you guys will be able to win prizes while we're actually doing this too.
So all of us on the panel, we are going to be like the celebrity judges.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
That's my hope and plan.
Sounds great. Everybody got to grow some dank.
I am
I'm sure
excited to judge some homegrown.
The thing
I'm
is,
sure we'll get some seeds, so we'll be able to grow alongside these guys, whoever has the space or the availability. So that'll be cool too.
even though we aren't releasing the genetics on what this cross is, it promises to be extremely flavorful and high in terpenes.
It's really good. By 2 different breeders, both are very highly regarded breeders. So we should be excited to grow it. I am for sure.
And shout out to them for their marketing, man. I don't know if you saw their latest 3-pack. I think that's going to change the game right there. That instead of having your classic 10-pack of seeds, it's a 9-pack, but it's 3 different strains. You get 3 seeds of 3 different strains. I think those are going to sell like crazy.
I agree.
Just a couple of quick questions. Are we excluded from the competition?
You're
Obviously,
excluded from winning, but you should participate in Pheno Hunt.
we get to play along. Okay.
I'm sure 2020 would appreciate if you had one of the better cuts, So you're just excluding from winning prizes due to the McDonald's rules.
McDonald's.
Well, I always like to play along, that's for sure. My next question is it possible as if the winner, since we're obviously not can't win, is it possible that the winner gets a spotlight show on them, or at least get to join the show for a special?
That'd be cool if they could join us on the live and talk about the thing.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I'd love whoever wins. I'd love to work with you and produce something up. Spotlight you, because that's a big deal if you win this competition.
You obviously can grow the dank.
Yeah,
we should be talking.
I'm sure anyone who enters in the competition, like along the way, we're gonna be like pulling out the people who are really shining and spotlighting them up in some way. So
I just want to say shout out to you guys on the mic tonight, man. It's so loud and clear. Woo.
It's a new mic, I think.
that's
But we intend.
Abolish this Christmas present.
Yeah, nice. We intend on doing a segment on here weekly where we show off some people's plants. Maybe we'll have a hashtag for the grow off. We can scroll through there on Instagram and show them all off while we're talking and stuff. So I'm really, really excited about this thing.
Yeah, I plan on releasing a lot of shorts and different episodes and whatnot dealing with the grow off while it's going on. So I mean, you guys are going to see your plants on YouTube and different platforms. So it should be a lot of fun. It's good exposure. You know, get yourself out there.
I think
Your
it's,
buds can be on the big screen, just like mine.
I think as far
And
as
I'm a celebrity.
I think as far as participation from like out of state and things like that, I think the best answer to that is, this is, if it's legal in your state and you're not breaking any laws, do what you want to do.
This
So it
show's
was like a
kind of a
really
testament to that. You know, we just started it because we wanted to, and here we are.
right, exactly. It's not too much pre-planning and forethought. This is different. We actually are doing pre-planning and forethought, so you guys are going to get the best experience that we're able to deliver to you. This is our first time, so be gentle. But it's the same time, like, this is about the Michigan cannabis community is what the show is really about, and it's about us basically networking and working together and spotlighting what the state has to offer, man. And I just think it's a great chance for us to really touch base with some of you guys that we've missed at the cups and shows in the past.
All right, so I gave Nutrient Shootouts the go ahead to talk about his garden updates because he's been sharing him cleaning massive piles of air pots. So I'm excited to hear about what he's got going on over there.
Cleaning about 190 air pots. I got to rebuild them all and power wash them still, but got all the soil dumped behind the barn. All the barn grow rooms, the 48 plant 12K, and the upstairs 6K are ready. Currently, I've got all my old mothers, getting ready to be flowered out in the LEDs that are all around me, and the 6K tents I have in the back here. So the new little plants that I've been showing are the new mothers to replace them. I'm going to try to be cutting down my mothers to about 15 of the good genetics, including the new lost leaf cuts that I have. January 1st, I'm popping Bruce Banner. I'm popping Grease Monkey. I've got some Red Scar genetics that I'm popping. I've got Mac and Cheese, Macberries, 9-pound Hammer that was gifted to me, and a couple other packs that I'm definitely popping and doing pheno hunts again. But I will be doing monocrops basically this year for my 6-way shootouts instead of January 1st, 2019, doing basically a pheno hunt that led to the 6-way. So it's going to be a lot better canopy this time around. It's going to be a powdered shootout, 48 plants, 4 genetics. It's going to be huge. So, and a lot of showcase. I'm going to be showcasing different nutrient lines, also in the 6K and in the back 12 or the back 6K here. So we're going to have some different showcases. So.
What powders are you going to put in that shootout?
So of course I'm going to do Jax against Floraflex, against Gaia Green, and Geoflora, and the one you just showed, the Love Trees powdered nutrient, and one more greenhouse feeding. Those are going to be the 6. I finally whittled it down to that.
Are they all going to be in the same medium? Like they're all going to be in cocoa, or
It's all going to be treated. It says powders are a little different. Some of these are top dress, so I'm going to top dress them, run them like they are, but they're going to have the 100-gallon RO reservoirs in flood and drain. I'm going to make sure I'm scooping the water, making sure it's going top down in every feeding. Floraflex, of course, is going to be in the res, so it's going to be a little different, but it's still a powdered nutrient. They have similar price points. They have similar facts that they're only like 2 or 3 different nutrients for the whole line kind of setup. So it's going to be very, very similar, and we're just going to see what does what and how it comes out. So,
but they're all going to be in like cocoa, the same medium.
But it's all going to be in cocoa. It's all going to be in air pots. It's all going to be 100-gallon flood and drain RO water under HPS 1,000 watt lights. There's going to be 2 plants of the same genetic per tray, 8 plants per 4x8 tray under 2,000 watts. And so 6 flood and drain trays. So 6 nutrient shootouts, 4 plants, 2 plants apiece. And we're going to be doing microbial testing, and we will be using green microbiotics for the liquid microbial across the board for everybody, and probably photosynthesis plus early on in flowering, and then cut it out.
I'm excited to see the results because I run Jax, and
Yeah.
obviously I think it's the best because I paid money
Yeah,
for
I
it.
mean, Jax. I've never done Jax yet, and I've only done Floraflex under this Call to Lux showcase that I just got through with these genetics, and more featuring the lights. But Floraflex was incredible. I had to go a little heavy on the Epsom salts, but being able to bring the pH back up a little bit using the Olympus Up from Nectar for the Gods gave me some calcium, so I didn't.
I really love
have to
that
use the
tip.
CalMag.
Well, yeah, when you shared that tip on our podcast, can you share that again real quick? That was really good.
So at least with Floraflex or a lot of other powder nutrients so far that I'm seeing, it seems like I can bring pH down to 5.8 or even 5.7. But on alternating feeds, I like to bring it back up to like 6.2, just so I can load a microbial set. Like a Michael Jordan or any powdered microbial that you can feed with the nutrient line. So you want a better environment for them, so you got to bring your pH up. So instead of using like a CalMag, which is too expensive, I use magnesium sulfate, which keeps the stems green. It keeps the plant uptaking. It keeps everything really nice and healthy. And you'd be surprised how much Epsom salt some of these plants can take, especially under LED. But I also add Nectar for the Gods Olympus Up, which is calcium carbonate, and it brings my pH up, but it also adds a calcium source, which helps the plant have stronger stalks, actually fight off pests a little bit too. So it's a nice little way of getting around doing CalMag or anything that has extra nitrogen in it. The Floraflex is doing such a good job of that. So, and
When you say that they can take a lot of the Epsom salt, how high have you actually pushed it? Like at what rate? How high have you gone?
Let's see. One time I did 90 milliliter. So I don't know what that was in grams, but I did 90 milliliters of Epsom salts. So normally I think the recommendation is usually 30 mils of Epsom salts, or two tablespoons as they call it. So I did 3 times as much, never had any problems. As long as I keep under my highest ppm ceiling, or in the case, it's better with Floraflex to go with EC. So as long as I stay below 2.5, like when I feel like I've got the Floraflex that I want in there and I'm running the numbers, which I was following Wolverine's charts pretty carefully, but with the Cultilux CMH bulbs and that 96 CRI spectrum, they really could take and grow, and they grew to the sky. These plants got huge. So with that, I was able to, get to my EC ceiling. I just keep throwing Epsom salts at them, and it kept them. They were always still, just on the edge of a little purple on the stems, just creeping in here, keep creeping in there. But it really did keep them growing really well. And I live by the stuff. I mean, you can get, multi-pound bags for like $8, and I live by the stuff, especially when it comes to LEDs. It keeps them green, it keeps them lush, and it keeps, it'll keep phosphorus transferring late in flower too. So Epsom salts definitely is something that people need to look into.
I want to experiment with using it more because I added more to get rid of purple stems and saw no real adverse side effects. And everyone says that the sulfur is really good, like late in flower and through flush and stuff.
I've been flushing with it, and I've had good results with it.
Yeah, so I'm actually doing that now too. Yeah, flushing with the Epsom salts.
Yeah, I never cut it out until the last 2 weeks. I flushed straight, but the sulfur expresses it. If you study Nectar for the Gods too, a lot of their stuff expresses sulfur, and sulfur will express terpenes in a lot of strains that you won't normally get. So, and it's proven that Epsom salts can actually help with that. So, but I still cut it out because I want to try to keep it as clean as I can on the finish. But I think the terpene profiles are built before that last 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, you can burn through some Epsom salts, but it doesn't cost much, and it's a guaranteed finisher. It really does help people's grows. And you really can use it with anything.
I saw somebody talking about Epsom salts and heavy metal testing, but I don't know if that's a real thing or just like if somebody had a question, if that would.
I heard I heard a few people online say something about Epsom salts contain heavy metals, and I've never seen or heard anything to actually hold that up. I've bought many different brands of stuff specific for gardening and just cheap soak your feet in, as long as it's not got any aroma or anything added to it. It's just magnesium sulfate. That's it. So yeah, as long as you're not buying anything that supposedly has any aroma or anything else added to it, you're just looking for magnesium sulfate. So
I was really particular when I bought mine to make sure it wasn't like lavender or some shit.
Yep.
You know,
lavender is a common one.
It's really easy and cheap to get too. I mean, you can.
Yeah, for sure.
Or you get a big old bag of that stuff for pretty cheap. So, I saw a thing. A lot of people know like NPK. Those are major nutrients that we're looking for. Well, after NPK, there's a few that a lot of people actually know too. Like for example, CalMag. Those are like the almost NPKs. You know, the almost majors. Well, along with calcium and magnesium, sulfur is the other one. So everything you guys are saying is making a lot of sense. I mean,
and carbon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, carbon
source
is not
with microbes.
Add, but yeah.
You can get your carbon through CO2 supplementation if you decide to go that route. That's one other way to kind of increase your headspace. But note that when you do that, your plants metabolize faster and you need to feed more.
And if you also note, if you're an organic grower and you're utilizing a lot of microbiology in your soil, that microbiology also creates CO2. So make sure you're at least monitoring what you have in there, because you may be surprised how much you have.
Yeah, I've heard it goes really high at night sometimes. Does anyone else have any garden updates? I think we had like 3 garden updates.
I pulled a bunch of mail. I don't know if I might have said this last week though. All my Cindy 99s were males, so that's a super bummer. So I pulled all those out of my flower, and then I had one other one. But I'm gonna try to do a video this week of washing those roots. Sequence gave me the idea to use peroxide on them, so I'm gonna try to do that because I really want to try to do a root extraction. So we'll see how that goes.
I still think the idea of growing the roots in the cloner was really smart.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that video, Kate. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Also, my cloner, even though it fucking got clogged and only one sprayer was working for like I don't fucking know how long, I like cleaned that shit out and put it back in there, and everything like bounced back. So like, I still got a bunch of them that don't have fucking roots, but they're all still alive somehow.
Yeah, that's like, if I'm excited about it, because if it's turns out to be really medicinal or something really great or out of this world, man, you could just put a DWC bucket in and just grow you a huge old thing of roots and just root prune it and let them grow back, and root prune it and let it grow back, and keep it in the vegetative cycle, and you don't even have to flower it out. And how great would that be?
Yeah, I've actually been considering like soliciting somebody that grows deep water culture to like fucking clip me your roots. I'll meet up with you somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I will fucking buy roots from you, as batshit as that sounds. And I've actually talked to a couple people too that have done it before, or that have like at least looked into it, you know what I mean, in other ways that I have. So my initial idea was to try to freeze dry it and powder it. But I've been told that it makes really good FICO or RSO, whatever you want to call it. So I think I want to try to do that also. So give me the roots.
Give me the roots. Give me the roots.
I love that idea. I think that you're gonna find different. We might find different cannabinoid profiles if you take them throughout like vegetative growth. If you take them throughout early flower, late flower, late flower, like your plants really go. I'm curious to see what kind of cannabinoid profiles the roots have. You know, maybe they're all over the place. That's kind of cool.
Has anybody actually ever has anyone ever actually like let a plant like flowered at like 16 weeks? Because I hear that's when no matter what it is, you're gonna get the most like psychedelic effects at like 14 to 16 weeks. But I wonder if anyone's ever done it.
I flowered lemon heaven for 120 days, and I didn't get any psychoactive effects off that. I was actually very pissed off about that, girl. I'm just gonna go ahead and stop talking about that.
Colin,
And it was mentioned.
Colin from Ethos showed that he's grown the Mandarin cookies out as long as 111 days to see just how it changes over time, which I think is really cool for testing. Anyway, go ahead, Eagle. Sorry.
No, I was just laughing there. I feel your pain there, Abolish. I ran a Detroit diesel, and at 12 weeks, I pulled that thing down angry and just sent it to the processor. I didn't even want to see how long it could go. Yeah, no, I wouldn't take a strain that long. No.
If you
Man,
try it though, you could just clip like most of it and leave like the bottom, you know what I mean? Like leave like the lowers. You mean, so like clip off like your main shit and leave like a couple scraggly ass branches that you're not gonna give a fuck about anyway, you know what I mean? Or like one branch and let that shit sit in your room for like an extra however long, you know? That'd be a way to do it to not get pissed off next time.
That's a smart way to do it. I mean, kick that bitch in the corner and let's see what happens.
it was just all that time you put in there, and then once you put it in the jar, the patients looked at it and like, because I mean, it was Thai bud. It was real like sticky type bud.
Well,
I mean,
and for so long, they had to listen to you talk this strain up on how magnificent it was going to be, and it was like so anticlimactic.
Well, what was funny is like they wouldn't take it like that, but the minute it got too old, I had to break it down just in the pre-rolls. It was all gone instantly.
Yeah, then they loved it.
most strains will finish up in their own time, but if you hold back B1, all the B1 vitamins, you typically can keep the white hairs longer, and you can typically get them to go up to a couple weeks longer in growth for sure. So you can really push those trichomes amber while the plant is still uptaking and still have a viable flush. So look into where your vitamins are coming from and when you're feeding them to them, because they do tend to turn and kind of make that last transition to tell the plant to start cannibalizing. So maybe it's still something you guys can play with. I think I'm going to try in a tent, one of these 4x4 tents, maybe. See what I can get.
I'm not so sure I want to extend my flower for any reason, to be honest.
There comes a point too where it just doesn't take up anything. You can give it more nutrients, plain water or whatever, it'll quit drinking. It'll just sit there and soak itself out, like you said, eat itself.
Yeah, it's definitely like strain dependent, because I've like running like multi-strain and off the same reservoir. You kind of notice which strains are done feeding a lot earlier. You probably could have started flushing those strains a little bit earlier, because they're done. They're yellowing out when you're just starting to flush and things like that. They're already starting to flush themselves. They're done taking up nutrients.
This GMO is a 10-week strain, and I've got a Big City Lights that I think could probably go for about 12, honestly, and it can get really amber. So I might do a run with that. See what it turns out.
Tell you
Might
what,
be good bedtime medicine.
you can slam GMO right together. I mean, at least the cut we have at work, we can slam it right together and just fucking build a wall of bud with that shit. It's just the way that it stacks.
I'm so excited to have that shit.
You're gonna have to strip it. I mean, you got to get the leaves down, but yeah, you guys will be out whenever I can. And can't remember when you guys are gonna be out, but you'll be able to see the GMO. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's taller than I am.
You know what I really like about some of those plants that get incredibly tall and huge? Back to like what Kate was saying, was like cut them like early or whatever, take half of them early. That's I think a great topic, because I don't know if any of you guys have ever harvested your plants in increments. Like I've gone and like back before I had like more of a large investment that you kind of had to keep up with, and I was just doing it for a lot more of small scale. I would harvest the top of the plant, and I would almost harvest it like tomatoes. I kind of look at a lot of the flowers and things almost like tomatoes, where like the top of the plant are nice, ripe, red tomatoes. The bottom of the plant, you know, they're larvae for a reason. A lot of, you can see it in the hairs. There's probably a lot of white where, you know, maybe some of those tomatoes are green, you know? So I like to sometimes, if I have the opportunity and the time, I will take the top of the plants off. I'll harvest those, and then maybe a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, I'll go back and harvest the bottoms, and you'll notice a larger yield from that too. You know, let those bottoms ripen up if you're able to, you know, if you're not stressing out trying to like get product to patients. And you know,
I think I'm actually going to do that this harvest because I don't have plants to push in from veg right away. So I might as well not harvest them all right away. Maybe I'll stagger it a little bit.
I think you're going to see like an increase in yield. I think you're going to like what you're seeing off of Jack switching over, but I think that you're going to also like what you see off of doing that as well.
Plants are pretty good looking, man.
You're gonna like the way it
man.
looks. Red guarantees it.
You're gonna love the way that those
Super good
finishes out, man. Yield and everything, I think. Flavor. Oh god, you're gonna love the flavor.
That harvesting like that is a good technique for outdoor too, with the really much bigger plants. When you take off, it's usually like a third rule. So you take the top third, you maybe come back 2 to 3 weeks later, you can get that middle third, and then come back another 2 weeks, get that bottom third. And you know, as you're doing that, you're getting way more light penetration to those buds. And if you're in a perfect world like California or something where the weather's not a problem, you can do stuff like that and really maximize your yield.
I agree with that.
Has anybody
Sounds like more of an outdoor technique, really. I mean, most people, like I know a lot of you guys, lollipop it up, so there isn't a whole lot in my style, you know, to harvest later on. It's more tops. You know, I couldn't really utilize that technique.
I definitely agree for sure.
I do like to push the amber thing. I like at least 50% amber, but I only do that because of weight. I mean, a lot of people pull early and don't realize if they let it amber out a little bit that them buds will densen up quite a bit. Don't be antsy about pulling it down when you see it just a few, you know, amber trichomes. Let it go a little further. Let them all them hairs redden out for you.
I pull that shit down. I pull it down. 5%. It's getting the 5%. Fucking X.
Yeah. I try to get them 50% cloudy and like 50% clear, and that 5% of any of that is amber. That's when it comes out. But lately, I've been trying to do extract, so I've been pulling it even earlier than that.
I like making old guys shake their head. I love you, Eagle. You're the best.
So I don't know if you guys caught it, but the Dude Grows put a little snippet out even of it, kind of highlighting it from their talk. And Guru or whatever, how you say it, Sean, on there, put it really great. And he was saying, like, if you look at how the trichome even develops, the CBG-A is what is created first, and then all the other cannabinoids and everything else, metabolites, come off of that. They are metabolized by like an enzyme, and they turn into those other things. When the trichome is clear, that's still happening. Once the trichome is cloudy, the enzymes are stopped being produced, so you're not getting any more conversions of the CBG. So that's why they say that's the best time to harvest. And when you have the most, I mean, if that's the best time to harvest, if we can agree that the cloudy trichome is the best trichome to see to harvest, that's the peak of potency, then whatever that is that has the most of those, you know, that could be X amount over here of clear and X amount over here of amber, but as long as you have the most filled in with cloudy, I think that's kind of the best place to harvest.
Right, and it represents the true nature of the bud. So if you're going to test it, if you're going to get a profile on it, it seems like that's the sweet spot.
I did catch that interview, Spartan.
Yeah.
One thing that struck my curiosity was his comment when he said, when is the government going to get hip to that you can turn CBD into THC? I was real curious on how that process, and he kind of, either the mic went out or they cut that off, but I was real curious to pick his mind about that. That'd be a nice subject. And the other thing I thought was real cool about that interview is that future 420 there was talking about how he could pull pesticides out of concentrates, which I would like everybody's thoughts on. Would you even would you smoke something that you knew once was bad?
I mean, that's how a lot of concentrates are done, remediated products. That's Spartan's first crop at their work was remediated from heavy metal product.
Yeah, heavy metal is easily taken out because, thank God, it's heavy. So you get that into like a centrifuge or something, and that can be easily pulled out. So if you get it into a concentrate form where you can spin it or get it close to a liquid, you can get those heavy metals out pretty easily. I'm not sure how they're doing the pesticides.
I think if like my buddy had it and we were smoking, he was sharing, I'd probably smoke it, and I wouldn't really worry too much about it. But I don't think it'd be my go-to purchase. But I can see where everybody has a price point on everything too. So, and if it's fire product, okay. But I'd smoke it. I'd share it. I wouldn't refuse it.
I think there's a market for, and I think it's not something I would like seek out, but I think there's a place for that, something like that. It's some way to remediate a product so it's not completely lost or thrown away. So if there's ways to do it safely and make sure that's completely gone, I think that's a good thing.
Well, and I think too, like when you think about like, oh, chemical remediation, like that sounds scary, right? But like you just said, like there are ways to do it mechanically, like by centrifuging it. There are lots of things that are like natural filters. So like, okay, you filter your drinking water. Is it dirtier to filter your THC? You know what I mean? If you look at it from a slightly different standpoint, in the sense of you fucking wash pesticides off your vegetables when you bring them into your house. You know what I mean? Everything that you eat has pesticides on it. So if somebody in a lab can prove that they've removed those things through a fucking filter column or filter stack or a fucking chemical process or centrifuging it, is that worse in your mind? You know what I mean? And those are, personal choices for everybody.
No, I think that's a great way to look at it, and I think it's a good argument for why there'd be nothing wrong with a product like that.
Yeah, and that goes right back to education, like everything else, right? It's just because people don't know what the words mean, so they're all scary to them.
I hope the cannabis industry shines a light on like heavy metals and things like that in what we eat in foods, because I'd love to be able I eat food from the grocery store, yeah, and I'm sure that there's pesticides and things like that on everything that I eat, and it's very difficult to avoid that reasonably, so I'd love for it to be a lot easier to avoid pesticides. I think that it should be something we shouldn't really have to worry about. It should be a no-brainer that our food's safe.
Well, let's hope our food is safe, because we don't want it to backfire. I think we all need to eat more vegetables.
You can bet your ass that your cannabis is more safe than your lettuce that you buy from the store. That shit gets recalled like 6 times a year.
They literally airdropped pesticides over like large quantities of Michigan this year. So
always beware the
really
romaine.
Consider how much you're gonna look down.
How widespread did they actually do that aerial bombing?
Several counties. It was like 13 or 15 counties.
And I don't know, just an observation. I'm sure it's just pure coincidence, but there's some of the more poor counties out there. I didn't see Bloomfield Hills in the where they were dropping. A lot of those
got like opted out real easily. Like some of those townships really got it opted out. Like they're they had the manpower to just be like and there's townships like okay.
It's crazy to me that you could flag your building to say don't spray here, but it's designed to sit in the air, so I don't even know what the fuck that does for anybody.
Right.
Well, after they announced that they were doing it, a bunch of the areas that they said they were doing it, and the people were like, "Oh fuck no, we don't want that here." So they ended up like seriously minimizing the number of areas they're spraying to, and then I think too it was like rainy or some shit, so they couldn't do it a lot of the time either. So I think it ended up being not that effective. But
it was right before we were all trying to harvest. Remember?
Right? I remember, and it rained.
Yeah,
it rained for like 3 days in a row, and then I chopped plants like the next day.
That was a big deal in chat that day. Remember, we're
Yeah,
like,
man.
well, you better have your stuff taped up and have your, your intake and all that, so you're not pulling that into your gardens.
And it was literally like in the fall when it was starting to get cold, where the mosquitoes would be dead, and they're out there wanting to just force spray over on top of everything. So I mean, it was total bullshit. A lot of it, I'm glad a lot of it got turned over, but the scary thing is when my boss was calling the county to see if we were one of the counties that were going to spray. We were one of the counties that was going to get sprayed, and so the last minute they called it off. And with him calling, they had the attitude of, why is this such a big deal? We do this stuff all the time. You guys just don't know. It's like, that's freaking wonderful. Then we get tested and fail testing. It's just, it's amazing.
Some of the most strict testing in the country.
You wonder why we need so much cannabis to cure like cancer and stuff like that. I mean, where do you think all these diseases and shit are coming from, man? It's got to be.
Yeah, we were literally out there covering all our intakes, everything on the building with like plastic or whatever we could get, up until the last minute, because that's a lot of money to fail testing on something that we didn't even do. It wasn't even our thing. So it's scary what the government can do. And what's funny is the government mandates the test for the very thing that they were spraying. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be all like conspiracy theorist, but it did seem like it was really late. It was already cold. The mosquitoes were already dead. But what was happening? Everyone was harvesting their cannabis, and it felt deliberate.
Well, the whole thing was like the Zika virus or something like that. So that was the big scare. It's just like with the vape ban. It's like they overreacted to something that wasn't even that big of a problem.
But there's precautions. There's other precautions that we can all take about mosquitoes and things like that, right? Like there's ways we can treat our yards. There's beneficial plants that we can plant to bring in.
Get rid of extra water sources.
Get rid of extra water sources. Make your habitat safe about this stuff. We can do this responsibly, and we don't have to spray chemicals.
But that their theory is that we're all alive, like the CDC thinks we're all alive because they flew some planes and sprayed some stuff. I mean, like, it's hard to argue, when they continue to do it, and we don't have any way to be like, wait, if you just stop and we can do it some other ways, but
You're still alive, old man.
What's that?
Said you're still alive, right?
Yeah, totally. I'm here.
Don't feel different at all.
After all the stuff I've done to myself, like, I could probably drink that stuff. It'd be nothing.
Like Wolverine.
That's right.
Okay, I have to say, when Old Man was at my house the other day, one of the best quotes or whatever of the day was, I was like folding up wax and parchment paper, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I love a good drug fold," and it just really was hilarious to me.
That is pretty funny.
That was I don't do a whole lot of dabs really, but when I'm hanging out with anybody in the crew, it's always just ends up to be part of the deal, and I get kind of dumb. It's silly, but I like that. It's fun.
We got less than 3 weeks till our next hangout too, thanks to you, bro.
That's true. That is true. Trying to get some stuff cut down and testable for when you guys get here. I'll be harvesting probably right around the time we're having that party, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
always
bro.
A good time.
I'm so excited to throw more seeds at you guys. I mean, don't feel obligated to pop any of the seeds that I throw at you guys. Give them off to other people. I just want to spread seeds like Johnny Appleseed. So you're all getting more seeds, by the way. Spoiler.
I'll have gifts for all of you guys. I'm really excited for what I have. So, and then Mason Grew will be joining us as well. He's not on our regular panel, so plan accordingly.
Shout out to Mason Grew.
Yeah, it's so far. Speaking of that, we're talking about on the 18th. I still have time to make a few cuts. If somebody is interested in anything, let me know. But
Spartan glue.
You want that Spartan glue? Okay. So I've got that blueberry quintetsa. I can't ever say the damn thing, but I got that for you too.
That's right. Yeah, you did get yours to go through.
That one's pretty.
Yeah.
That clone's getting pretty big, so you're gonna get a decent sized clone of that. I've got that set aside for you. Eagle, I've got one for you for the headlights. I'm gonna make sure you get that one. That's the one that gets some pining to it, and also cat piss, depending on when you harvest and how you grow it. And what else do I have? I have abolished. Get that same one, that headlights I was just talking about. And then he also said Primal Punch. So I'm gonna try to get those to you. But anybody else, if you're interested in any of my cuts, let me know. If you're gonna be there.
I'm good on intaking cuts, I think, but I'll give out some if anyone needs anything.
Right. I was just trying to give stuff away last time. Like, I just had too much stuff going on. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same position. I have lots of cuts available, but I can't handle any more.
The same boat, man. I'm calling stuff left and right now. It's like every couple of days, I'm like, you're just not doing it anymore. Later, it's like I've already gotten rid of like 3 moms, I think, in the last like week or two.
You know what?
Yeah,
at the end of the year, that's a good time for you to really stop and think about your garden and go, okay, look, what have I ran this year? What am I still holding on to? What do I want to run into the next year, man? It's a great time to pop new beans. It's a great excuse.
Right.
Well, that's why I love each and every one of you, because that's kind of part of this is like me giving those clones away is me getting the permission to let that go, because now I can cut that one out and I know, well, if I want it, I can get it right back. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not a big deal. It's my little clone banks. So there's like a huge advantage to me to seem to share the genetics. Even, a lot of people say, you're crazy to let genetics get out and this and that. And I was like, well, one, I don't hand them out to everybody. And two, I benefit from it. So it's just a really cool thing.
And 3, it's medicine. You're sharing it.
That's that Spartan OG, man, or the Spartan glue. That's your legacy, right? Get it out there, dude. I dig it, man. I like it.
Speaking of legacy of what we got, look at this. I just harvested. This is like a side branch off of the abolished OG that I took down this week. I mean, this thing is quite the chunky monkey out here.
Wow, that's a lot of medicine right there.
That's a lot.
Quite the chunky monkey, says.
Skilbo, man. I love.
Thank you.
Dude, you've showed. I've seen that. Like I feel honored that I've seen that like a good couple times, and I think that it's so cool, man, that you had such a successful grow. That, dude, that is like a great like personal achievement, right? You're gonna.
Dude,
have,
I'm totally stoked for sure.
You're gonna have that medicine, dude, and like I know you're stoked because like you've showed it to me like a good couple times now.
I know I've killed him with it, man. It's
poor Red.
I love that. No, I love it, dude. I love that because like I love seeing people like strive to achievement, and then like when they achieve their goals and like you show it, dude. Do it, man. I love it. Show me, man. I want to see it. I want to see you like hit those numbers, man. I want to see that like cook you up some great medicine and help your back and help your body and help your family's body and your friends and everybody, man. I think it's a great thing cannabis is doing.
That's what.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's 10:58, so we got to roll into final shout outs. But I wanted to bring up one of our OG super fans, Tara Wilson, has been going through a thing. So we wanted to mention her and have everyone put her in their thoughts and prayers if you do that sort of thing. If you want to send her a message and say that you're thinking about her Instagram handle is Tara Wilson 1409, all one word. Her father passed away, so it's pretty tragic stuff. With that said, let's go into our final shout outs and wrap this thing up. Nutrient shootouts, you're first, my friend.
Just shout out to you guys for having me on the show. Really great show. Had a good time. A lot of great information. Knowledgeable panel representing Michigan. Check me out. I got videos coming. I'm gonna stay busy this year. So
thanks for joining us, guesting on our panel tonight. It's been good. Red, you're up.
Man, I had a wonderful session tonight with everybody, and I look forward to it every week, as everyone knows. Shout out to chat. You guys are awesome, keeping us going for sure. Shout out to everybody that tunes in and doesn't even chat. You guys just come on and kick it along with us, man. Happy New Year to everybody. This is the last show of the year, and I think that is sweet. We all got to hang out together, man. So, let's all have a great end of 2019, and cheers for 2020. Everybody be safe, man. And December is a crazy time for all of us, I'm sure, the holidays, but look at the bright side. I'm sure we all got to kick it with some good friends and everything. So let's let's get on to 2020 with good headspace. Rock and roll, everybody. Cheers.
Amen, brother. Spartan, you're up.
I just want to say, thanks everybody on the panel. First and foremost, it's my family right here. You guys are my addiction. I itch for this shit until Sunday. So thank you for putting up with me, and love each and every one of you. Can't wait to see you. And, shout out to chat as always. These guys keep coming back to listen to us rant. So we must be somewhat interesting. So you got to give them a lot of credit. So with that, I'll just say growers love.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us. You always have a lot of very useful knowledge to share with us. I know that you don't have a lot of time, so it's great that you spend some of it with us. Old man, how are you doing, brother?
I'm good. That abolished skunk got me, man. But what a good evening. It's always good to hang out with my friends. Great chat. Lots going on. I have this entire next week off work. So all of my plans for my entire future 6 months, I'm going to pack into the next week. It's going to be amazing, and I can't wait. So I'm excited. I'm going to be washing some big shit, taking care of business. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Oh yeah, man. Good luck. I want to see another picture of a big pile of hash.
Yes.
All right, Skilbo, you're up.
I'm going to say Skilbo1 on Instagram because I usually forget to say that shit. But I want to say that I want to shout out Sequence specifically, man. This has been one hell of a run for us. It has been one hell of a run for us, man. And I'm so grateful to have met each one of you guys. You all bring something that is much needed in my life. And I know that the people watching at home, they must agree too. So definitely everybody be safe. We kicked 2019's ass. Let's rock into 2020. Let's do it together, man. Growers love, like Spartan Grown said.
Thanks, man. Nate, you're up.
Oh shit, sorry. You can find me on Instagram at the Candy Kate, and yeah, just to echo what all of you guys say, like Spartan said it, I itch for this shit. Like all day today, I was like, can't wait for tonight. You know what I mean? Because it's nice to like get together with you guys and talk about shit and read the chat. Like somebody just said something like they love how much we care for the plants and each other, and like it's so cool that like translates. And thank you so much to Abolish for getting all this content set up. Like we have so much shit coming out this week, and that's super cool. Yeah, so this has been a super fun year, and I'm super excited for what next year has to bring, and I'm glad that I got hooked up with you guys.
Amen to that. We needed your perspective on some extraction stuff on our show for sure. Abolished, Miss Cantaloupe, where can everyone find you guys?
Abolished Farms. If it's a platform, you probably find me on there. I want to give a special shout out to the panel and the Groskies. You guys' support and just all the kind words you've been saying like over the last few weeks makes it all worthwhile. I mean, appreciate that. And I got to do a special shout out to Endo Farms 1 for winning my first giveaway ever. And I'll be launching another one this week, so stay tuned for that. And what you, Missy?
You can find me online on Instagram at Miss Cantaloupe. I just wanted to say, I'm very grateful to be here. I got to jump in for a minute after work, and this should be my last Sunday working. I finally got it A-okay to have Sunday evenings off to spend with you guys. So I'm really excited about that. And so that's basically what I'm looking forward to in 2020. Like, I'm looking forward to getting more involved with the plant, with the show, with our grow offs coming up. super excited about that and just sort of seeing what this community has to offer.
Yeah, definitely. And to speak to that, Miss C actually created the Grow Off logo that you guys will see soon. So credit to her on that.
Crispy.
It's
Crispy.
pretty sexy.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, like Kate said, thank you to Abolish for all the content work that he's done lately, and Miss C for putting up with Abolish doing all the content work he's done lately. I know how that goes. Like when Spartan was first hanging out with us, it's like, don't get in trouble with your old lady, man. You can't be sitting in your basement all the time.
Yeah, actually, it was funny the other night. Like lately, we've been staying up and like he'll be working on it, and I like shout edits and stuff at him. And then we've been staying up so late. We're like our sleep schedule's off right now, and
I can understand that.
Dude, those after-hour sessions that we've been having on there are great. Just the 40-minute time limit is killing us on there, man.
Right.
All right. Anyway, Eagle, you're up, my friend.
Shout out to you guys. You know, it has been a great year. I'm grateful for the opportunity to appear here every week and the opportunity to meet everybody this year. Please, everybody, check out the great content these guys have provided for you this week. I always lag in both this chat and our chat. I've been lagging terribly, but this chat for this show, I do go back and watch it. It just lags me down to try to do both, unfortunately, with this shitty internet. So I go back and watch and check out all your comments. But it's been a great year with you guys. This is the best time of the week, even though I have been lagging in chat. This is the day I do, and just like you guys, look forward to hanging out with, in my opinion, some of the coolest fuckers in the business. So thank you for that. I'm trying to stay away from thanking anybody else, but it is the end of the year, so I'll give a shout out to people that's helped me out this year. Blue Planet Nutrients, Mars Hydro, Active LED, Crop Salts. Y'all been good to me. Oh, my herbs now, I can't forget them. They've been super great to me over the year. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, and here's to great things in 2020. Thanks.
Thank you, man.
Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you enjoy the show, please tell your friend that you enjoy the show. Send it to them. Ask for stickers. Send me DMs and ask for stickers, and I'll mail them to you for free. Have a good night.
Later.